Today I'm going to share with you 5 unbelievable reasons why living in Paraguay will change your life forever. Let's get started with the first reason, which is the freedom that you get to enjoy when living in Paraguay. So many people, Europeans, Canadians, Americans, are moving to Paraguay because they're tired of living in a very regulated environment. Certain places are so regulated. You have to be careful about everything, every little detail. The government's very nosy. The government dictates how you should do this, how you should do that. In Paraguay, you don't have that as much. Paraguay is an emerging country, as many of my friends are telling me these days. I'm so glad that I moved to Paraguay. The government here doesn't really care about a lot of stuff. They are leaving me alone. And that's what people want. If you want to be left alone, and we're not just talking about major things here, we're just talking about everyday stuff. If you just want to live in an environment where you can breathe peacefully and happily, Paraguay is a great place for that. Like, for instance, in Europe, every little thing is regulated. There's so much procedure. There's so many unnecessary things, so much compliance. In Paraguay, you don't have that. Like the freest countries on the planet, and we're talking about the year 2023 and beyond, 2024, the freest countries in the world are countries where there's not so much regulation. And Paraguay is such a country. If you are worried about central bank digital currencies, digital IDs, if you are worried about increasing government control, guess what? When moving to Paraguay, you can escape many of these problems that aren't just a conspiracy theory anymore. These problems have become real in many, many countries. Make sure you watch this whole video. We're going to add a bonus tip for you guys. This is a really, really important one. Tip number 2, the taxes. The tax situation in Paraguay is close to ideal. On local income, you pay 10% taxes max. You can deduct a lot of stuff, so oftentimes you're going to pay a lot less than 10%. Then you have corporate taxes, also 10%. But Paraguay exercises a territorial tax system, meaning income derived from outside its borders is consumed tax-free. Obviously, a big reason why so many people are moving to Paraguay, if you're coming from a high-tax country like Australia, United Kingdom, or Canada, where you're handing over a majority of your money to the government, especially if you fall into the highest income tax bracket, and you're coming to Paraguay, you're like, wow, this is heaven, this is fantastic. I can save so much money, I have to work maybe not as hard as before, and I get to keep a lot more of what belongs to me. This is what it's all about. You get to keep a lot more of what belongs to you. That's what people want. If you can get away with paying 10% in taxes, guess what's going to happen? You will have a much, much better quality of life. You will keep more money and you will live happier because you can. You're not worried all the time about increasing tax rates. You're not worried about handing a big chunk of your monthly money over to the government. You're not worried about that. So Paraguay is a great place for people that want to cut down on their taxes. Tip 3, Paraguay is a very laid-back country. What do I mean by that? Well, take a look at where Paraguay is located. Paraguay is located in the heart of South America. It borders Brazil, Argentina, and Bolivia. Paraguay is a very laid-back place, which leads to another fact that the people are also very laid-back. People are relaxed, chilled out, nice to be with, and that's important too because people aren't pressured there. People are living happily and peacefully together. And that's what people want. Like, so many families are moving to Paraguay. So many of our clients, they have families and they're moving to Paraguay and they're happy in Paraguay because they're like, wow, this is Germany 100 years ago or whatever, 150 years ago. They're happy with the life that they can enjoy in Paraguay. They want to have a simple life. They want to be able to maybe have a house somewhere in the countryside, be able to homeschool their kids, or be able to live in a community of like-minded people. You can have all of that in Paraguay. So there's a big reason why families and also regular people, retirees, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, are moving to Paraguay these days. Tip number 4, the low cost of living. But before we get started with tip number 4, please make sure you watch this whole video because we have a bonus tip appended to this video, which is for all the guys out there. Trust me, you're going to appreciate it, so watch this whole video. Now, tip number 4, the cost of living. A very important point. Paraguay is cheap. Food is cheap. Housing is cheap, right? If you want to rent an apartment or if you want to buy land, pretty affordable, and there's a lot of land. Why? Because Paraguay is not mainstream yet, and hopefully it will not become mainstream because, again, we want to keep it like a hidden gem. we still want to encourage people to move there, people who want to have a better life. It's really important that we see that Paraguay offers a really relatively low cost of living. As a family of 3 or 4, you can definitely live on like $1,500 to $2,000 a month, which would be impossible in a Western country. In Paraguay, you need so much less money to be happy. You need less money for services, you need less money for food, and you also need less money for your house, for your property. So a lot of people that used to spend say $5,000-6,000 a month, they come live in Paraguay and they're like, wow, I was able to cut down my living costs. They might spend 30 to 40% of what they used to spend back home, and they have a much higher quality of life. As a result of moving to Paraguay, they have a much higher quality of life. In Paraguay, you can go out and have a meal for as little as $5. You can find a 1-bedroom apartment for $200 to $300 in Asunción. Paraguay is very affordable. Of course, we're not just talking about the low end of the spectrum. Now, if you want to live in a luxury apartment, you can have that too at a fraction of the cost you'd pay in a country like America, the UK, Australia, Canada. Paraguay is cheaper. Tip number 5, safety. This is something unexpected. So many people think, oh, South America, it's so dangerous. You can get killed, you can get kidnapped. Lots of bad things can happen to you in South America. Well, sure, bad things happen to people everywhere. In fact, I was in Vienna, Austria recently, and I saw how a man, and this was during daylight hours, a man pulled out a knife and threatened another guy right in front of me outside a tram station in Vienna, Austria. This kind of stuff was unheard of many years ago, but now it has become reality. Paraguay is a safe country. If you live in the south or center, it's a very safe country. There is not that much violent crime. Paraguay is safe. All right, now we have the bonus tip. Tip number 6, the dating scene. If you are a guy and you're coming to Paraguay, Paraguay is your oyster. Paraguay is a dating paradise if you're looking for a traditional conservative relationship. If you're looking to get married to a girl from a collectivist society, guess what? Paraguay is the place to go. Paraguayan women are very down to earth. They're very family oriented, which is what you want. If you want to get married, if you want to have kids, you want to start a relationship with someone who embodies these qualities. Guess what? In Paraguay, well, feminism is growing everywhere. You will find plenty of women with conservative, traditional family values that want to date someone like you. This is important. Like, one of the biggest reasons that we are seeing from the people who we are working with why they're leaving Western countries to establish themselves in a new country like Paraguay is because they're fed up. The dating in their country has become impossible. Dating in America has become impossible. Dating in Europe has become impossible. I'm talking Western Europe. It's gotten tough. Feminism is growing, it's booming. Paraguay, you can still find a lot of really nice, conservative, traditional women who want to have a great man like you. If you're into monogamy dating, Paraguay is the place to go. What do you think about the tips that we shared about living in Paraguay? Are there any other tips that you would like us to discuss in a future video? As always, we appreciate you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you share this video with your friends. And if you would like to use our relocation service to help you get residency in Paraguay, then please feel free to reach out to us now. And we see you on the next video. Thank you very much for watching.